The problem with using USB storage media to copy PS3 game backups to your modded system is that it uses FAT32 and the max file size is only 4 GB. And since most PlayStation 3 backups are going to be between a little bit and a lot larger than that, that's a problem. Fortunately, IRISMAN solves this problem by letting you use NTFS formatted drives with their 256 TB maximum file size to copy your games over to your PlayStation 3. Here's the magic behind how it's done. And be sure to stick around to the end of the video for an important IRISMAN bonus tip that you don't want to miss. From your computer, you'll need to download the latest version of IRISMAN. It's hosted at ps3brewology.com and linked for you in the description. From the Homebrew page, scroll down until you see IRISMAN from the list of choices. Don't get this confused with Iris Manager, which is an older piece of software. Click the IRISMAN link, in this case the latest version is 4.88, come down to the download section, and click the download link on the far right side to grab the latest version of the package file. You'll find the newly downloaded package file in your downloads folder. Insert a FAT32 formatted USB drive into your computer. Now you can copy over the package file directly to the root of that FAT32 formatted USB drive. For now, you can just close out any instances of File Explorer in Windows, remove your USB drive from your PC, insert it into the rightmost port on your PlayStation 3, and turn on your console. If you're using a slim or super slim model PlayStation 3 that requires the use of PS3 HEN, go ahead and launch it now. From the Game tab in the cross media bar, scroll up or down as necessary to get to the Package Manager and select it with the X button. From the list of menu choices, scroll down to Install Package Files and select it with the X button. Then scroll down to the listing for Standard and select it with X. That's your USB storage. Here, you'll find the package file for Iris Manager. Select it with X to install it to your PlayStation 3. Once the install process is complete, press the circle button to go back to the cross media bar. Scroll up or down as needed in the Game tab to locate IRISMAN and select it with X to launch it for the first time. The first time you launch IRISMAN, you'll be prompted to set the screen calibration. In this case, everything was just fine. You can press cross or the X button in order to proceed. You'll see some on-screen prompts for potential locations to copy content. In each of these cases, you can simply use the D-pad to move the highlight to No and select No with the X button. It will set a default location, which will change shortly. Unless you already have content pre-configured on your hard drive, the most likely thing you'll see is nothing. This is an expected outcome until you add content to the system. Let's fix that now. Start by removing the USB drive from your PlayStation 3, but leaving the system powered on. Then either insert that same USB drive into your computer and format it in NTFS format, or insert a USB drive that's already pre-formatted in NTFS. I have a copy of Tron Evolution in ISO format that I use for demonstrations like this, but your games may also be in traditional Sony folder format with the files and subfolders installed within them. No matter which one you have, you can simply drag and drop them right onto the root of your NTFS formatted USB storage. And like before, once the files are copied over, you can close out any instances of File Explorer, remove the NTFS drive from your computer, and plug it into the rightmost port on your PlayStation 3. IRISMAN needs to be restarted in order to recognize your newly plugged in NTFS drive. Press the circle button, and at the confirmation prompt, slide over to Yes with the D-pad and select it with X. Now you'll be back at the cross media bar where you can relaunch IRISMAN. Once you're at the IRISMAN main menu, press the Start button on your controller. This opens the Global Options menu. Select Tools with the X button. It's the first listing in the Options menu. Then select File Manager with the X button. Once again, it's the first option. On the left side of the screen, you'll see the drives and storage partitions on your PlayStation 3 represented. And on the right side, you'll see access to mobile storage, including the NTFS USB drive. In the left side navigation for your PS3 system, scroll down to Dev HDD0 and select it with the X button. ISO formatted PS3 content needs to be stored in a folder called PS3 ISO. If you don't have this folder, you'll need to create it. But if you've used something like Webman or Multiman before, it's probably already created it for you. Navigate to the PS3 ISO folder and press X. Now use the D-pad to press to the right. This will shift to the right pane so that you can access your NTFS USB drive. Scroll down to the bottom of the list of choices to NTFS 0 and select it with the X button to go to the root of the drive. There's that Tron Evolution.iso file that I copied over earlier. Use the D-pad to move the flashing highlight down to the content that you want to copy over, in this case the TronEvolution.iso file. Press the triangle button to pull up a pop-up menu. From the list of choices in the pop-up menu, use the D-pad to scroll down to Copy and select Copy with the X button. Remember during the setup process I said you could skip all of those folder locations? Now that you've already established the target folder location on your hard drive, it's going to know that that's the likely place you want to copy your content. So all you have to do is slide over to the left to Yes and select it with the X button. This will copy the ISO file directly to that folder. And a quick note before we move forward here. If your game content happens to be in Sony's folder file format, you'll need to install that content into the Games folder. For example, here's Batman Arkham City. It's in the more traditional Sony folder file format, and the BLUS represents the type of content and its region. Once the copyover is complete, press Select and Start together to pull up the Global Options menu once again. Now you can simply press the circle button to go back and it will take you back to the main menu of IRISMAN. And you probably still won't see anything. All you have to do to correct this is just press the up button on the D-pad until you've scrolled through the list of choices in IRISMAN to access PS3 content. Just like this. Now that you see the game in the cover flow section, just select it with the X button to load it into the cross media bar for the PS3. Now that the game's loaded as a virtual disk from the cross media bar, you can just scroll up or down from IRISMAN to wherever that disk game is located, and then select it with the X button to launch it, and your content will be ready to play. Remember I mentioned that there's a bonus tip that you don't want to miss? Here it is. The first time you launch IRISMAN, it's going to try to turn the fan up to almost 100% in order to try to keep the system cool, but it's awfully loud. Let's fix this. Back at the main menu of IRISMAN, press the Start button to pull up the Global Options menu again. Just like before, select Tools with the X button. At the very bottom, you'll see a listing for controlling the fan. Select it with X. From inside this menu, you can set the fan speed for various ranges of Celsius temperatures. To quiet the fan down at the lowest range of Celsius temperatures, just scroll down to the one that says less than 62 degrees Celsius. You can use the left one and right one buttons to change this value. You can take this value down as low as 33, which is the lowest value that IRISMAN will accept. Just be aware though that the slower you set the fan speed, the hotter your system may run. If you make any changes to the fan speed settings, you'll need to scroll down to the bottom and over to the right and select Save Settings with the X button to apply these changes. And if those fan speed settings get out of whack, there's a lifeline right here that you can use to restore default settings and then save settings again to reapply them. For the new fan speed settings to take effect, you'll need to restart your PlayStation 3. Press circle to go back, then press and hold the PlayStation button on your controller. From the list of options, scroll down until you get to Turn off the system and select it with X. Then slide over to Yes and select Yes with X to turn off the system. Now turn your PlayStation system back on, and if you need to, relaunch PS3 Hen. Then from the Game tab of the cross media bar, relaunch IRISMAN. There, now that's more like it. Now that you've learned how to tame IRISMAN, why not check out this video, shown on screen and linked in the pinned comment description below, for more great original PlayStation 3 content. Look forward to seeing you there.